folks, I'm Tom Vasel.
Jason Levine.
Today we're taking a look at, I think, arguably the most complicated game that ever won the Spiel des Jahres. Maybe El Grande, I don't know, but this won the Spiel des Jahres, which was a surprise, and it would not win today, guaranteed, because it would be considered too complex.
It would be considered too complex, even though it's not. I don't think it's that complex of a game.
I'm not saying that it's that. I'm not saying that the game is that complex. I'm saying for the Spiel des Jahres.
Yes, especially when you had other things in that same time frame, like Villa Paletti winning the Spiel des Jahres.
It still irritates Jason.
I don't get it.
Now, when Torres came out, there was a trilogy that came out the same time as Torres, very popular games called the Mask Trilogy because they had a big mask in the front. That's Takao, Mexica, and Java. Torres might as well be part of that trilogy.
Yes.
It's designed by the same designers. It's essentially does the same things. It brings what is hardly used today, actually, in gaming.
Limited action points?
The action points. Nowadays, you have action points, but if you have 3, you're lucky. But in Torres, you had 5.
Yes.
And you could even have 7 and so on.
Yes.
We'll take a look at it, and then we'll be back. If you're playing the basic game, you're going to start with towers on different prearranged spots in the board. Each player is going to put one of their knights out on the board, picking, and the king is going to go on top of one of these castles. Each player is also going to start with a certain 4 stacks of blocks on turn 1, and then in phase 2 and 3 they'll get 3 stacks of 2 blocks, and they also have 5 more knights. Now on a player's turn, they have 5 actions that they can take, 5 action points, and they have a card that tells them the different things that they can do. One of the things they can do is they can add another knight to the board. When they add a knight, it has to be next to a knight where they already have a knight, and it can be on the same level where they're at or a lower level. So this would be fine, this would be fine, this is not fine. You can also move knights on the board. Knights can move. It's 1 action point for each space you move a knight, so this knight can move up. Knights can only move up 1 level as you move them around. However, knights can cut through a castle for only 1 action point, and then come out any door in that castle. As you can see, each of these has doors on all the sides. Players can also place these blocks for 1 action point each. When you place blocks, you can only take them from one of the stacks in front of you. However, if I only place 1 block on one of my turns, I can take the extra block and put on one of the other stacks, and I can have a maximum of 3 stacks. But if I don't use all the blocks and there's no more room to put them in stacks, then any extra blocks I don't use are put back in the general supply. Now when you're building these castle parts, they have to be attached to a castle that's already out there. You can put them next to it and you can make it higher. If someone's on a spot, you can't put anything there. And the highest level cannot be more than the area of the castle. So this, I can't put a 3 here even if there was no one there, because the area of the castle is only 2. Now it's 3, so it can go up to a level 3. You also cannot connect them. So as I'm building out here, I can't place a castle piece here. I could place one here like this, and it's still going to make this castle bigger. And so players are going to be trying to maneuver and get their knights into the highest levels. Players can also spend an action point to get an action card. You shuffle this deck together, and some of the action cards will give you can play them. This one gives me 7 action points instead of 5. This one here gives me an extra block that I can use. This one lets me move a knight into a castle and come out a higher door. This one here lets me jump over another knight. This one here lets me move an empty tower block somewhere else on the board. This one gives me 6 action points instead of 5. This lets me put a tower block underneath one of my knights. This one lets you move diagonally and up a level. And this one lets you move a knight from any space on the board to an empty space, as though I was adding a knight. And finally, this one here lets me jump up 2 spots instead of just jumping up 1. So players are going to be taking these different actions and trying to maneuver around, and if they have nothing else to do, you can always move one on the scoring track for 1 action point. Even better than that, since only 1 scoring marker is allowed per spot, you can jump over all the rest, so if I was going 1, it'd be whoop, like that. That's rare, though. You're mostly going to be manipulating here. Now, at the end of a round, after 4 rounds, everyone gets 5 action points for each of 4 rounds of the phase. You're going to score each castle. It doesn't matter if there's multiple people in the castle. So let's say these 2 people are in this castle. Green is going to get the height of his highest knights. So even if he has 2 knights in here, only his highest knight's going to count. He's at level 2 times the area of the castle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 10 points for green, while it is 5 points for orange. So you can see that if you had managed to get an extra castle here with the blue piece in it, he would be getting 15 points. And every castle on the board is going to be scored. This one here is going to score its owner 1 point because it's level 1 and it's an area of 1. After everyone's scored, we'll check whatever castle the king is in, and any castle that the king is in is going to score 5 bonus points if you're on level 1 after the end of phase 1. At the end of phase 2, if you're in level 2 of the king's castle, you'll score 10 points, and at the end of phase 3, if you're on level 3 in the king's castle, you'll get a bonus of 15 points. Now, what I just described to you is the basic game. The advanced game, each player, in the basic game, you're going to shuffle all these cards together. In the advanced game, each player will get their own set of action cards. They can play them when they want. They can start on any, they'll choose the starting setup of castles. And the biggest change is these master cards. One of these is drawn at the beginning of the game, and like this one here, if all your knights are on different levels during scoring, after phase 3, you'll get 40 bonus points. If all your knights are in neighboring spaces during scoring, you'll get 40 bonus points. So these give you an extra way to get bonus points. Other than that, gameplay is pretty close to the same with just some minor differences about turn order. All right, my first question to you is, do you play this with the basic rules or the advanced ones with the action cards? And
with the action cards, you can't play it any other way.
Yeah, I think the basic game, while it's okay, is too symmetrical.
Yes.
To some degree. And also the action card lets you, when you're like, oh, I really want 7 actions this turn, you can do it.
You can take 7. Oh, I really want to jump 2 levels to move it up to get do a 2-level jump. You can get a 2-level jump. You can get a lot of cool things with those. But the cards are neat because you have to take the card and you can't play the card till the next turn, which is kind of neat. So you're collecting the cards to then use later, and you're not going to use all 10, or you're only going to use like 8 of them because there's only 9 turns in the game. So you're not using all your action cards. You're picking and choosing which ones you're going to use at which point.
Now, despite what anyone may tell you, this is 100% an abstract game.
Yes.
Okay, yes, there's a little bit of rhyme and reason to moving through the castles, although it makes no sense it would take 1 action to run all the way through a castle as opposed to across the field, but whatever.
Yes.
It's an abstract game, but that is not a bad thing. You just need to go in knowing that, and it's all about controlling high points.
Yes.
And high points of big castles.
Wide open spaces. You want to spread your castle as far as you can and then get up to that high level, make the points. But as soon as you get up to that high level, you got to watch out because someone else will do one of those slide into the bottom and slide out on the top and slide in 1 level right below you, and they're right up there with you after you did all the work. So sneaking into other people's castles is just as important in this game because you need to be on at least 3 or 4 to win the game. You can't just build your own. You need to sneak into everyone else's along the way.
Yeah, now this game here says that luck is 1, but I would argue and say there's almost no luck in this game. There's a tiny bit.
There is no luck. The only luck you have is when you shuffle the cards, what 3 cards you get each time. That's the only luck in the game.
Yeah, that's what I would argue, or maybe if you're playing with the rule that comes into play or whatever.
Yeah.
But this game is very, I don't know how to explain it. Normally this kind of game irritates me because I'm sitting there going, oh man. But building those castles, there's a satisfying clink as you put those pieces on. It really is. It looks cool as you're doing it. Other games have actually used these same pieces in them because they're that good of pieces, but I believe this was the first to use them.
Yes, it was definitely the first to use them.
And it's not that hard of a, at first you're like, oh, okay, I just move around, I'll build this castle up, I'll put my guy in the top, but you got to be careful, you got to watch for people sliding in on your territory.
Yeah.
There's a decent amount of interaction, not so much as in blocking the other person, but not allowing them to mooch off you, essentially.
Yes, and the king is important because you want to get onto the king, wherever the king is, but you also want to make sure when you get on the king, you got to be at the right level. So in the first turn, you gotta be on level 1, then you gotta be on level 2, then you gotta be on level 3. So you need to get into the king's place. You need to get into your own big one. You need to sneak into other people's. There's a lot of things to do, and with just like with all their other games, the limited actions, you're really, really tight on what you're going to do with those actions, and every action really counts in this game.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever see this one reprinted, because it almost feels like a game of its time in the 90s. I mean, I know you love it a lot, but I wonder if this could be printed today. I mean, obviously some people would like it, but I don't know how widespread it would be. But if you ever get a chance to run across it and give it a play, it's certainly recommended, because it is a brain burner. You will have to think, and there's a small possibility of downtime if you play with the full 4 players, although from my recollection, 2, 3, 4 was okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. For me, it doesn't feel like a lot of downtime.
It's not as much downtime as the other games in the series, like Java especially. It was
Java
huge
has the
amounts
most
of
downtime. Yeah.
But there still could be that person saying, okay, I have 5 actions, I'm going to go here, and then there's that whole, you move somewhere, you're like, oh, that was a bad move. What's your awesomeness rating?
This one, an awesomeness rating of 8.
Wow, okay, I thought it'd be higher than that, actually. I'm going to give it a 6, but that's only because I'm just not, I have to be in the mood to play this one. But I will not deny that it is a good game. And it did win the Spiel des Jahres, which is still surprising to me.
Not to me. I remember when this game came out and I was like, wow, blows my mind. And this came out after Tikal, and I thought that, I was like, wow. Because Tikal was cool, but it was like you were building up little cardboard pyramids. I mean, yes, it's a great game, but this had the 3D spatial aspect to it too, which really wowed me at the time. There weren't many games like this. There still aren't many games like this.
That's true. That's very true. Well, anyway, folks, from Rio Grande, that is Torres.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.